Welcome everyone. This is our second outreach subcommittee meeting. Very good to see you all again. And so before we continue, I would like to point out that our co-lead for this meeting is going to be SP Bielma, as Jonathan is not able to join us today. So SP, thank you very much for taking the lead on that. We very much appreciate it. And then also, I would really like to go around the room and maybe do some reintroductions. And I'll go ahead and start myself and then pass it on to the next person. So let's begin. So Juan Carranza with the Bal Air District, and next to me is Cheryl.
Sorry, having trouble unmuting. Cheryl Holzmeyer. I'm with the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment. And I've worked with Susan Hurley, who some of you may know from, and community partners, Little Manila Rising in Stockton on a air pollution exposure project at All Saints Academy. So I've done outreach in that context and just wanted to learn more about what's happening in the community and what the priorities are.
Thank you, Cheryl. And then who's next to you?
Stephanie, sorry, Stephanie, I see next to me.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Ng and I'm an air quality specialist in the Community Strategies and Resources Department. And below me is SP.
Hi, good afternoon. Esperanza Bielma, and I am with the Environmental Justice Coalition for Water and with Cafe Coop. And I'm part of the steering committee, and I also serve on the EJAG, and I apologize for my voice ahead of time.
You're fine. Who's next to you, SP?
I'll go next.
Okay.
Hey. All right, I'm Leonard C. Wood. I am a resident of the AB 617 community. I'm a veteran. I am a member of the African American Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you.
I believe Margot is next.
Hi, I can't tell. I have a whole different lineup than y'all, but I'm Margot Prouse. I'm a resident in the AB 617 steering committee, and I'm chair of our local Sierra Club. And I will pass it to Doug.
Thank you, Margot. My name is Douglas Vigil. I'm a resident for the subcommittee. Also, I'm on the Lion, Stockton, San Joaquin, as well as the advocate for the person with disability in mayor, and also with mental health, as well as the Juvenile Probation Prevention Commission as well. Thank you.
Did we miss anybody?
We have Ed, we have Edgo, and then Jazzy.
My name's Ed Ward. I'm with Valley Pacific. I'm invested. I'm a risk and regulatory manager for the company. I am also a community member for both the South Central Fresno and the AB 617 Stockton footprint. So we're trying to bring good things to our impacted communities.
Jassy.
Hi everybody, I'm Jazz Marie Latour, Jazzy, and I am a resident here, and I also work on asthma work in the community and grassroots organizing in Stockton.
Thank you, Jazzy.
This is Margot. I just need to point out that Jazzy and Leonard have similar plants behind them.
Oh, the Monstera, yeah.
Very nice.
Nice.
It's a good thought.
Yes. Okay. Did we miss anybody? Nope. So I think we're good to go. So before we move on, obviously, thank you again for joining us today. And so we're gonna look into having a great, very, very productive conversation around some of the outreach planning for this particular subcommittee. And in order to do that, I'm gonna pass it on to SP. Thank you.
Okay, so again, thank you and good afternoon. we wanted to just give some highlights and overview of, I think there's some background noise there. If people can mute themselves, that would be great. Okay, thanks. So we, some of us attended the event, some of us had already previously been to Tune In, Tune Up, but to give us an idea of logistics of, what is that like takes place at these events. And so then those in attendance, like we were saying earlier, Jonathan attended, Justina Caras, Summer, also we had from the CSC, Ed Ward helped us out a lot there. And so what took place there is that we went out the day before to kind of get a lay of the land. And so we were there close to 5 p.m. There were already vehicles that were lined up. So to give you an idea of, the traffic that comes through there, they line up the day prior. They either leave the vehicles there, or some of them stay there, overnight. We did ask the question if there was another way to do this. And I think somebody earlier said that they've tried different methods, and this is the best method that works and that keeps everyone in check, because otherwise it just becomes chaos. So and people know how to do this and what's going on when they do the Tune In, Tune Up event. So that being said, there were already vehicles set in place, early on in the later afternoon, the Friday, the day prior. And at the event, they serviced a total of 396 vehicles. And we had Supervisor Rickman stop by, and Supervisor Villapudua, and Vice Mayor Christina Fugazi. And so we learned that they do try to attend and see the events and, interact with the different organizations and people that are there and be supportive of what's taking place. So just a note for future reference. And of course, we had our team member from the Air District, Juan Carranza, who was present there and, also got to view the whole lay of the land with our San Joaquin Stockton event. And so in terms of how everything flowed is because of COVID, they asked the folks not to exit their vehicles. They could if they needed to use the restroom, and some of them did approach on their own, but it wasn't a mass amount. The majority came through in their vehicles. So after they went through the process, as they exited, all of our organizations that were allowed there were present. They did ask us to not go up to the vehicles. So what we were doing is we were having the vehicles go to the side. That way the other vehicles could continue to drive through. When they went to the side, what I had thought of this little game to engage them was to do like a loteria kind of card. So it's like a bingo, and they were going to win a prize, a door prize, which was our swag that I had gathered from different agencies like ACE and what have you, and the Air District provided swag. And that's very key and important because most people do not usually run up to booths that just have flyers, because it's just not, interesting to them, even though it can equate to money, what have you. But many people, like you all know, going to events, what have you, are attracted to swag. So we got them to go to us, and, Ed can attest to this because he was working really hard getting that swag out. And what also attracted them was that we had purchased, EJCW went ahead and bought the lawnmower so they could see what the electric lawnmower looks like. And of course, they're like, okay, I want that. So how do you get it? Well, sign up, because now we have a list going for our next event that we have, which will either, be for the lawnmower or for AB 617. But we have this ongoing list of folks who are, interested and who have opted in and giving their information for our next event. So that being said, we need to take into consideration all these details. We can write some of our notes and observations up. I think, if I'm asking too much, let me know, Ed, but I think if we were able to write some things up, so that way we can do best case scenario as we move forward in planning our event. but we absolutely need the Valley Clean Air Now staff, because this is like an enormous undertaking. Even if it was half of the amount of vehicles, if it was 200 vehicles, there's just a process that they have to go through, and they have the whole system down. They also have where they do the tire check with the San Joaquin Delta College, comes out and does that. I mean, because it was 396 vehicles, but there were 400 vouchers that were issued that day. So just to give you an idea of the amount, and even if we scale it down, we're going to have to look at quite a bit of factors, including, I know there was talk about doing stuff specifically, for example, in Boggs Track. So we have to see, how is that going to work? Are we going to limit capacity? Where is it going to take place? There's a lot of logistics, and we need to work in partnership with Valley Clean Air Now. So that was just like an overview, and some of the insight that I can give based on what the event was, and moving forward what we can do.
Thank you, SB. And I guess if Ed has any suggestions on what he liked, my colleague here, Stephanie, is very kind, and she's going to be taking some notes. So if you have any highlights that you would say were a great benefit to the outreach efforts that we conducted, please let us know, and then we'll definitely note that as well.
I only have a couple of comments, and SB, well said. I did talk with Tom, and Tom's comment was, whether we do 200 or 400, it costs the same to get all the equipment and gear and tents out and all of that. So, as we look forward, we want to try to find a place where we can optimize how many people come through the system, is one comment. Second comment, you're right, people enjoyed the swag. And, we were giving out lots of little things, clips, pencils, pins, little frisbees. And that's always enjoyable for everybody. And I want to encourage that. I think that's a good thing. And I think that in a kind of a roundabout way, we were giving out pamphlet information, both in Spanish and English, that is helpful for the community to know those things. And then my only last point is, having an electric lawnmower there, we had more people stop and say, what's that about? And that was a tremendous opportunity for us to sell the lawnmower turn-in program for the future. So very valuable event.
Thank you, Ed. And the other thing that I forgot to add, Juan, before I hand it over to you, was we also had folks, observing and looking at, which is going to be key to what we're doing with electric vehicles. We had 2 of our electric vehicle, our Volkswagen Golfs there. And so that was also another item that attracted folks, because then they can also see, hey, if I get an electric vehicle, this is what it looks like.
To add to that, SB, the legal counsel for the Auto Dealers Association was there, a gentleman named Les, and he's working with us on the Valley Can EV mechanic. I won't go into detail about that, but you'll get to hear from him soon. And he was there, and I agree, having electric vehicles there for people to actually look at is a great opportunity. And it'd be nice if we could have just more than Volkswagen Golfs, if we could get some Toyotas or Hondas or whatever. And even if we could, this is a wish, if we could get a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, it'd be really interesting also. And they're in the area. Not many, but they're here.
Maybe connect with Dave Atherton. He's the organizer behind the Manteca Drive Electric event on April 9th. So, and he has connections. He gets the vehicles to the place, and he would be a really good resource.
Yeah, I think that's one of the events that, in terms of, we can be present at. I know that we've been asked also to attend that event with the electric vehicles. So so that definitely, Margot, that's a good event. And in terms of hooking up with them too. But I think that Valley Cam does have the vehicles normally, but because they weren't going to have folks go out, they weren't having that whole, you know, experience with the other dealerships.
So do they tend to, this is Margot again, do they tend to like to approach it where people can actually test drive when they do this, or not really? And it's just with COVID, we can't do that?
I think that was the issue that they had in terms of the test driving. So yeah, I don't know how this next event, the one you're talking about with the in Manteca, is going to go. Yeah, we don't know. I know that there was driving last time, but I don't know about this go around. So, but yeah, that's a great suggestion. So then I don't know if there's any other folks that had questions or comments regarding the Tune In, Tune Up previous event. And if not, so we can pass it back to Juan for next steps.
It looks like Doug had a question.
Doug had a question.
When did the resident of Stockton knew about this event? How long did it was posted? Did they was it aware of? Plenty of notice when the time people were coming up for the small inspection. That's what you're referring to?
Yeah, it's for their smog when they're doing the Tune In, Tune Up, and they're not able to qualify for the program with a voucher. And so then when they're given the voucher, that helps them to be able to fix the vehicle, right? In terms of the outreach that Valley Clean Air now does, it's very extensive. I believe, I don't want to speak out of turn because it's, you know, they're the ones who did the outreach, Valley can, but they do a lot of social media. They do radio advertisement in the areas specifically that you're talking about with our EJ community members, whom they already have a targeted audience that then know about it, because the event, you have to obviously qualify income-based, right? So they do a really good job of that, you know.
Hold on. What do you mean they had a target base? There's a lot of people who own old cars. How did that particular target group have information when you think you didn't want to touch this particular organization that touched advertisement? I just don't like that there's a target group or not enough a group that was not involved with the community in Stockton. So that's my concern about that. You're kind of segregating something for something that it should be able to be a community as a whole, not.
No, that's why I said I don't.
Hold on, let me finish. Okay, and then okay. That's okay. I'm just trying to clarify what is the situation regarding outreach, and that's what I'm saying. That's not. Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't aware of it. I'm sure I probably would have been in the target breach because I wouldn't known. I didn't get no letter. I didn't get no phone. I didn't get no advertisement, promotion, whatever. It didn't come anywhere. So I don't understand how the people would announce it through social media. I don't have their social media. So that's kind of like what I'm trying to get at. That's all.
Yeah. Like I said, since we don't have them on the call, that's why I said I don't want to speak for them other than what I do know. And the only part that I do know, I mean, obviously they have a lot of outreach, and because they have, a certain amount of vehicles that they can service, what have you. But I know what I've seen is the social media, the radio advertisement, and through emails that, go out as well through like the various community members. And other than that, they might have other ways to reach people. And I don't know what their budget is with regards to the outreach component that they have assigned doing this Tune In, Tune Up event with the smog repairs.
So you're saying that the radio, they refer, like it could be like K-Joy, it could be KRN, whatever. Or
like in Spanish radio, I know that for sure they advertise, and I'm not sure what radio stations they do the advertisement with, but I believe that they do it as like a, you know, I don't know how limited it is or what their budget is for outreach, but the person who would best be able to answer our questions on that would either be Tom Knox, the executive director, or Jose Marin, who is one of the persons that's in charge of this event. And he'll be able to answer our questions about that outreach piece of it, because they've been doing this for quite a while. And like I said, and they usually have close to like anywhere, you know, close to like 500 vehicles at some point. So yeah, we can ask them, we can follow up, Doug, with that question.
SB, to add to your comment, and Doug, they really do have a program, and I'm interested to know that you didn't get any kind of communication, because I did get it from the Valley. It was sent to me through I'm signed up for notifications from the Air District, so that's how I received it, just for your info.
We did send it out to our CSC as well. Maybe it got a little lost, but we try and, if it's in the boundary, we will try and let our CSC members know.
I will tell you, and rightfully so, Valley Can is pretty protective of how they run their operation, because they have done it wrong enough times to know how to do it right, which is a wonderful thing. And when we talk about using, being literally, our tent was the last tent anybody passed as they were going out of the facility. So we had the opportunity, if people wanted to stop and get swag or talk to us about the lawnmower or the other vehicles, they could do that. That's our place in the process. I will add, though, we didn't have enough swag. Don't you agree, SB? That we probably had about half of what we really needed. So
I think they expected less from the numbers that Jose Marin from Valley Can had projected. And I think people signed up before, but they had more folks show up. And so I think that's why we ran out as well, but definitely need to get a good amount. But we can follow up and get more information, though, in terms of just overall outreach efforts.
That's wonderful. I want to understand what that and Espinosa, and that it's great that you guys had last minute crowd and an overwhelming event. So that's wonderful. So thank you for clarifying things. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so did we have, if we don't have any other, does anybody else have any other questions or comments? So that if not, we can move it, pass the mic back over to Juan so he can go over the specifics on the outreach measures.
Thank you, SB, and thank you, everyone. Great discussion indeed. And then we'll get back to you on that item, Doug, that's for sure. So moving on to the next item in the agenda. So we have the review of measure deliverables and the status of those. So I am going to share my screen with you so we can revisit some of those measures and some of those opportunities for outreach that we have on the plate. Let me share my screen with you. One second. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so I know we briefly touched upon this subject in the very first meeting we had last month. And so obviously understanding the opportunities that we have on hand for outreach. And please let me know if I need to zoom in. If that's needed, I'll be happy to do that. So right here we have a list of outreach opportunities.
Juan, I'm sorry about interrupting. When you share your screen, I lose my interpreter when I pin. So I got you. There it is. But I can't. You can't share your screen, right?
Let me check.
Is there a way to pin me or give me co-host so I can figure it out?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. So,
okay.
I just gave you those permissions. Let me know if it's not working.
Let's see. Let's try one more time. How about now? Are we good?
No, I'm just waiting for my interpreter to come up. Nick, either you're in the bottom or in the top.
Gotcha.
Okay, let me get up on X. Maybe that will work. Okay, I can see the one on the row. So you go ahead and share screen. I just kind of have to copy a little bit. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. No problem at all. Yeah, so like I was saying, obviously we have to have a look into the measures that we have available and trying to identify the opportunities for outreach. So over here we have a list of those. We have on your left we have the outreach measure. This is the general outreach measures that we have available for some of our promotional campaigns or outreach activities. So one of those measures is community air quality awareness. That's an opportunity for us to start maybe just thinking about it and see how we could approach that opportunity. The other one is health impacts of wood burning, as well as outreach to illegal burning. So this is just a general idea of what's available for us to consider as a group and then figure out which of these activities we want to put our attention to. Where do we want to put our energy to, and then how do we want to move forward with these outreach opportunities that we have on hand. To your right, we have the incentive measures that have been approved, the project plans that have been approved, including the wood burning incentive, the EV charging infrastructure as well. So that also gives us an opportunity to look into what's available for us to start developing some ideas on what are some of the outreach activities or programs that we want to put our focus on, and then how do we brainstorm about how to go about that. So for example, let's say for events, I know Margot suggested one particular event a few minutes ago. So I think it would be great to brainstorm about different community events that are happening around the community, and then start putting those together and putting those on a list, and then figure out which of those community events is going to be of benefit for the efforts of the subcommittee outreach members. Also, we have a partner and contact lists that is currently being developed. It's being populated. I know Douglas was able to provide some of those contacts that he considered we could utilize as a strategic partner to help with the outreach efforts as we move forward with any plans that we decide to develop. Air quality campaign ideas, I think that's also a great opportunity for us to consider. And the last one right there, which is to develop an action timeline. I think this is a great opportunity for the group to really start looking into, what does the schedule for the group is going to look like in, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months from now. So developing a timeline and defining some milestones, I think is going to provide good visibility for the group and also good understanding of where we want to go as a subcommittee. So I'm going to share a template with you that one of our team members put together here in our office. And again, this is just an example. If you have a better idea on how to develop a timeline, or if you have a specific format that you like to have it in, we'll be more than happy to work with you on that. But let me share my screen with you. Okay. All right, so okay, so this is the timeline. So as you can see, it defines goals, short-term goals, mid-term goals, long-term goals. And so it would be very convenient for us or for the group to have, that structure and that definition. And then once we have the timelines and the milestones all set, then we can start figuring out, okay, which partners come and could add value to these particular goals, etc. So again, this is just a template that I'm sharing with you. If you have any suggestions on, how to develop it, how to make it better, we are more than happy to work with you on that as well. And going back to the outreach measures. So I think I'm just gonna put the question out there for the group. Based on this menu that we have available for us, which ones do you consider, the group would like to put a little bit more attention to? What type of effort, what type of measures you guys would like to start working on, and maybe start developing some ideas on how to go about starting some outreach opportunities. So I will pose the question to the group and maybe SB and see if anybody has any feedback or suggestions about it. I see Doug's hand. Go for it, Doug.
Thank you. One, I wasn't quite understanding what you mean by timeline. What do you mean by as far as timeline for different events coming up, like the community air quality awareness or outreach awareness health? Or could I know on the left side on the green, I only see half of on my screen, but wood burning, something, EV charging, furnace, electrical school, that's been approved, right? So are we supposed to send them out already?
Correct. Yeah. So those measures have been approved. And so what I mean by timeline would be to maybe identify some milestones, or say, what we want to accomplish. Maybe we want to attend 3 community events by, within the next 2 months. So that would be a milestone. And so what about, within the next 6 months, maybe we start to want to develop air quality campaign. Maybe we want to develop a list of outreach events. We want to have that ready by next month. So that's what I mean by timeline. Maybe looking into short-term goals, and then take it to midterm and then long-term goals. So looking into the different timelines that we want to put together for the activity for the group.
Okay, so the last question I have just for that. So what will be the short goal order? Do we need allergy education timeline for next month? Or it could be, we're in the middle of the month right now. So next month, or I don't know if anybody in the panel have any suggestion with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question, Doug. And that's exactly the question I posed to the group, to say, this is your opportunity to look into what you want to accomplish, right? So for example, if you want to do, the very first thing to do short term is like define which measures do we want to put our attention to, based on that, then we can define the other measures. But I think the short term measures would be identifying, or the short-term plans would be to identify which outreach activity or incentive measures you guys want to put your attention to first.
This is Margo. Can I just say there's quite a difference between some of these incentive measures in terms of, for instance, for me, wood burning incentive is huge, just because people burn wood, and it's a more residential thing. While the EV charging, eventually it will come to everyday households. But right now, the EV charging is directed at larger entities, businesses and such, as well as the electric school bus, the school air filtration, and the rail car replacement. Those are all specifically larger entities that will utilize the incentives. So I think, I'd really like to see us take 2 different pathways and perhaps approach some of these, this is going to make it a little bit mishmashed, I guess, but, rather than taking one at a time, some of them could be started already. They've been approved. The electric school bus is the school system. The school air filtration, I don't know if it's the school system or the individual schools, I can't remember. Rail car replacement is a real specific entity, and those outreaches could be happening simultaneously, unless that's too much for staff to take on. So you need to let us know if that's what one of the issues is. The wood burning incentive, that's just really high on my agenda. And I also need to say, well, so bear with me. We used to see, I used to see more frequently ads on TV for air quality, and it would be our two representatives on the air district, as well as other entities who are from other counties or something. But right now it's Rickman and Fugazi. And I saw one or two commercials this year. And honestly, I do tend to pass through commercials. I don't watch them anymore. So, that could be me, but I'm not sure I see as much as there used to be. And I would like to see an increase in that if that's feasible. Is that money from our group? Or is that something the air board can just like make a point of? Are they PSAs? Are they entitled to a certain amount of time on these channels, or do they have to pay enormous amounts of money for them? Do you know? Anybody?
Well, I think the air district would know, so Margot, those are all good questions. And then I think honing in on these outreach components, it's like we're talking about our actual subcommittee as it pertains to just AB 617. And then the air district can answer a little bit more about those advertisements that you're speaking of, which is to the bigger valley-wide audience, which are like the billboards and the television ads. Those are through the air district and their specific budget, which is not specific to the AB 617. And so in terms of the ask for that, it would obviously be out of the budget if we have to pay for like those kind of TV ads, because like you said, that would be costly. It's more, we're gonna have to, I think what Juan's asking is for the outreach measures, which ones do we want to focus in on? And like you said, trying to look at more than one at the same time would be best suited, because we want to be able to reach the target audience, go along the timeline. And so what you're saying, Margot, it kind of goes like with what I was thinking too, is that we need to not do one at a time, because that would take too long. And sometimes it's not going to really capture the audience that we have. So it would be best to try to put them together and just kind of see where everybody is at with their subcommittees, and then what outreach efforts we can do, and also how much funding we have, so then we know what we can do to outreach in terms of the budget to get that done.
And can I take a second to respond to Margot and SB? Unless Ed, I don't know if it's a similar comment, but I kind of just have a response in terms of some of the outreach that the district is working on already. I'll go ahead and go. So I 100% agree with you, Margot, that this stuff, since it's already approved, that the air district has already been working on a lot of outreach. So for example, with EV charging infrastructure, we've already been in contact with the county and the city, because like you're saying, we do expect this to be really geared towards municipalities and getting them in public spaces. So that's already been in the works. And then also, like you're saying, we've been in touch with school districts regarding the electric school buses and kind of school air filtration. So these are things that are definitely, on the air district side, on the back end, we're definitely working, and also rail car replacement as well. But this is definitely stuff that the district is working on. Since it has been approved, we want to make sure we're getting, most bang for our buck, and time, in terms of time, we want to make sure we're getting things started. So yeah, to SB's point, I think however this outreach subcommittee is wanting to contribute, but the air district on our end is also still working on outreach and getting out in the community to let folks know of these grants.
And I would add to that, and I agree with you, Margot, we need to be able to chew gum and breathe and walk at the same time in this process. But to Ron's point, he's asking us for short-term, mid-term, and long-term priorities. And if I look at those 5 items that are there, I agree. Wood turn is an immediate priority, that we can begin to get that information out. We can be, changing out fireplaces. We're starting into summer, but it's a good time to get that info out. I think EV charging is also a good short term, because we're beginning to see more cars at home that are being charged, and we want to see what we can provide there. As far as long term, I see rail car replacement as being one of the more time impacted issues that we deal with. School filtration probably should be in a short term. We need to continue on that as we move forward. So that, I mean, that's just how I kind of see what Juan's asking us is, can we give him a short, medium, long-term priority to these issues so that the district knows, I think this is what it is, so the district knows where to put their most effort.
Yeah, so I think that's correct, Ed, in terms of where we want to put our efforts in and doing that short-term process. So I don't know, like in terms of our timeline as we look at it now, Juan, would we need to do that? Did you want us to do that today, or did you want us to give you input as far as short-term different events like the one Margot mentioned, that we can start like brainstorming on that and looking into those events and doing the outreach efforts there?
Yeah, absolutely. SP, yeah, I mean, it would be great to, it doesn't necessarily have to happen right now, but I think if we can start brainstorming and maybe just gathering all of that information in terms of opportunities for events. I know like Ed and Margot specified that they want to, they consider wood burning incentive one of those priorities that they want to put a little bit more emphasis on. So that's great for me to hear. And yeah, so I can create a document, more than happy to do that. And maybe just for us to capture the different ideas that the group has in terms of community events, and then obviously reiterating that they want to particularly focus on wood burning and EV charging infrastructure as one of those short-term priorities.
Well,
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Margaret.
And it could be, things could be seasonal too. I latch onto wood burning because I think it's really important, but it's also one of the things that's already approved. So we're really lucky there. At the same time, now is a really good time. Earth Day is April 24th in Stockton, when Stockton is the area here. And I believe, I don't know if Valley Air has a table or if their CSC will, I don't know how it's going to work. But making that a focus of that tabling event would be really helpful. But then maybe taking a little hiatus until early fall, when people are going to start thinking again about burning, or do we keep it going throughout the year? I don't know. The availability is there throughout the year, but the education that needs to go with it could be, we could pick and choose. I'm not helping here. I'm sorry.
No, you are helping, Margot.
For a minute.
Sorry.
You're doing fine, Margot. Somebody give Doug the floor for a
Go ahead, Doug.
I'm sorry. Get to another clarification. I like Mark the way he did it today. What she did is very important about education. I think we need to educate our youth, because sometimes when our youth educated, they're gonna think different than our previous predecessor of other people when they're older. They're not gonna be able to cut wood. They're gonna be more electrical, more inclined to go electrical, and try to be more pollutant efficiency. You know what I mean? So I think definitely education is a good way of reaching out to our youth as well as in our community. And I think that's something that'll be the strong point there. And regarding to the budget, I don't know, air quality, I don't know who will get the grant when we go out and advertising or public relation, whatever it may be. Will it be the same thing anyway regarding who received the grant and who are going to be marketing this particular proponent as regarding to wood burning, electrical for car, electrical bicycles, I don't know, whatever, I can't even, it's blocked, so things like that. So that could help if we could organize it all at once, because we're still talking about the topic of wood and electrical infrastructure. Oh wow, that's another thing. So what comes short, I think the wood burning would be more impactful. And Earth Day is at Victory Park. So, and that is a lot of big events. So that'd be great to have somebody there to represent air quality, or somebody or organization that does that. That's all. Thank you. And I'm done with my opinion. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Doug. And
Thank
no,
you,
that's
Doug.
great. And Margot, any ideas are incredible here. So we appreciate the
Yeah.
ideas, and this is exactly the purpose. You know, there's no wrong ideas. We're trying to figure this out as a group, and you know, we're happy that everybody contributes their input. So don't ever feel like your ideas are not good enough. So, so what I'm hearing is obviously wood burning is one of those particular focus that we want to put a little bit more attention to, but also air quality campaign ideas, and that includes going out to the Earth Day, you know, events, and just tell them about air quality and all of the different resources. So yeah, this is great information.
And Juan, I also heard from Margot some considerations into some of the maybe the ads that are getting put out. I personally don't know too much about it, and I don't know if Juan, Luis, you do, but if not, we can touch base with our outreach team and kind of get a follow-up for our next meeting about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
They've been great, and they've been ongoing throughout the years. You know, it's been really good.
So in terms of the going back to Margot's point on the Earth Day for April 24th, our organization is planning on being there, and we can obviously take any information that we just did in Tune In, Tune Up. We'll have the electric vehicles there. We'll have the lawnmower to get people go, even if we don't have it as AB 617, that incentive, but we could do the same thing as like keep signing people up so that if they are within the AB 617 boundaries, that they'll be eligible to be able to swap out their lawnmower once we do have those monies available. For the Air District, they usually do participate in the Earth Day. So Juan, if you haven't received an email yet, I'll make sure that you get that, since we're also part of that committee, to make sure that you all are present, because in all the past years, the Air District has been there. You hand out, you know, your swag, what have you, but it's about all the different programs that people can qualify for. And then we can kind of piggyback on that with what AB 617 has as for the AB 617 demographic, right? So we can add on to that kind of as a precursor to what's coming, even if we don't have the collateral, because the Air District has the collateral, and we could just, again, do the same thing, have folks opt in, and then get that information going and flowing so that, you know, as soon as the monies come up for wood burning, for the vehicles, what have you, we have that list going.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. And I just want to say, to your point, SB, like this kind of email list, we also have a flyer that has, it's a website, but also a QR code that folks can kind of pop their email into. That way, as grants from the Air District become available for AB 617, folks can be notified of that. So that's definitely a flyer that we can plan to hand out.
Can I add, I was just looking at Stockton Earth Day Festival, and it's showing it the 14th, and I thought I heard the 24th earlier, which was a Sunday, but the 14th is a Thursday, which is, I'm sorry?
That's not Stockton.
Sunday. Stockton Earth Day is on Sunday, yeah.
Is it Sunday?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I know that we're getting close to time. The other event that Margot mentioned, the EV Expo in Manteca, which is April 9th. We were also planning on being there, and we could do the same thing. You know, I don't know, like, again, Juan, if you were planning on being at that EV Expo, but if not, we can also get some collateral, some swag from you all for the EV Expo.
Speaking of community events, this is Brianna here. I did want to mention that I know Reinvent South Stockton will be having a resource fair in May. I am still waiting on a flyer with additional details, but that's another upcoming event that I think would be a good opportunity to table at.
What will the focus of that be? Just any kind of resources?
Yes, it's a whole bunch of different resources. I don't have the flyer yet because they are still working on it. But once I get that, I can share that with you all.
Yeah. Juan, do we have a outreach pamphlet or flyer already for wood burning incentive for our boundaried area? Is that something we need to have soon?
I think we can look into that ourselves. I'm not sure, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Steph, if we have one specific to the boundary area, but we do have a general one, but I don't know if we need to tailor it to the boundary for sure.
I believe we have a general one, and we can work with our graphic designer to get one specific, get it kind of altered specifically for the boundary.
Yeah, so if someone were to look for an incentive on the general one, not realizing that they're within the boundary and might qualify, would it convert them to the bigger incentive if there's a bigger incentive? No?
Yeah, as far as
That's
I
a
know,
good question.
our grant staff looks like, as they process applications, do look to see whether or not folks are in the boundary and qualify for that. So I don't think there would be kind of an extra set of district eyes on that to kind of verify.
I need to apologize quickly. I'm looking at this. I pulled it up on the internet on Google. And Earth Day in 2019 was April 14th. So please forgive me for adding to confusion here.
No
And
worries.
I'm very interested in the drive, the electric drive on the 9th. That should be an interesting event.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have motorcycles to drive, or at least that's what they're showing. So
Yeah. So for that, going back to that that EV Expo, was the district planning on attending that? If not, so I can coordinate and get some of the flyers and information picked up prior to the event.
And this is SB, this is one, this is happening on the 9th, right? April
Correct.
9th. Yeah, so it's actually under our radar, but we could potentially have someone attend. But I will have to get back to you on that and then just confirm that we have staff available to go that day. But it's under our radar, that's for sure.
Okay, and then did you, for the Earth Day, already receive the invite for that?
So someone mentioned it at one of our CSC meetings. I don't remember if it was Jessica or someone else.
Juan Luis, why don't we touch base with Heather, because I think, like you're saying, SB, I think this is something that we've always attended. I want to say Anthony, who just retired, was the one who typically went. So we'll touch base with Heather, but I think it is something we regularly go to.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and then in terms of like our next meeting, will we have it before? What is it, the schedule on there, Juan?
So the next one is scheduled for April 15 at 2 p.m.
Okay. Okay. So I just wanted to let you all know from the committee that our organization will definitely be there to showcase the vehicles. So if there's anything that you want for us to showcase as far as any other information, and we can coordinate with Juan and his team to find out about getting information there, since we won't be meeting prior to the EV Expo. And maybe Juan, we can like send out like a reminder once we touch bases with the gentleman who's in charge of that Margot had stated. I already had signed up for it through Jonathan had sent me the invite because they needed additional vehicles to display. So if we can Juan, coordinate with them, and like I said, if you're not able to send anyone, we will be there, and we'll be more than happy to have material out there that'll help us with this AB 617 region that we're serving.
Great, thank you, SB.
And I know it's almost time, but when we have our flyer, so I'm back to wood burning, or illegal burning, I guess, or maybe whatever. can a small one-page flyer go out with some type of billing? I mean, it almost be conflict of interest to send it in people's PG&E bill, I think. I'm not sure, but, or they should recuse themselves. But is there something that the city, does the Valley Air have access to something like that?
Well, typically, I think what we've done in other communities, I will just share, we also very much like appreciate and rely on our CSC members. So what we've done in other communities is actually mailed our flyers, like printed out flyers and mailed them out to people to the CSC members to give out in their community. But we also, I think, I'm not the outreach 100% person, but like in terms of like posting on like Nextdoor and getting it on different like county and city kind of like listservs and stuff. I think that's stuff we can all look into and that we've done kind of historically.
Going back to Margot's point, what we could look into maybe with the air district is through the utility bill through the city is we can ask that they incorporate some of these flyers ahead of time so that way they do reach the AB 617 residents. And we could do that ask. I know that not for Stockton, but us working in water, this is an ask that has been done in other communities, and that municipality would do it because it was benefiting them on a service that's free and helpful, clean energy, so it might not be PG&E because like you said, Margot, that might not be the best fit, but the Stockton utility bill is maybe somewhere we can go. So maybe we can ask someone there at the district and we can, like how you said, help coordinate that with, we can ask, since she's on the board, the vice mayor as well.
Good one. Yeah, we'll definitely check in on that. SP, we'll double check with our departments and with our team in house and see how would approach this opportunity. Okay, sounds great. And I think we're at time, so we don't want to keep folks over. Juan, I don't know if there was anything else you wanted to add. And we're going to send out a reminder, right, for the April 15th meeting and also for the EV Expo for those people who want to attend that in Manteca on April 9th. And we will be meeting before we have the Earth Day, but then also we know that we're going to be planning on being present at Earth Day as well. So, but if there's anything that comes up prior to that, if we can have folks, email and we can have a way to keep track of that one so that way, we can get those events online and everyone has those on their radar. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's going to be the plan is for me to please expect a document where you can enter all of your suggestions in terms of event opportunities for outreach. So I'll be sending that out to the group. And then my goal is to have potentially a draft of timeline to share with the group to see if, making sure that we captured all of your ideas today. Yep. Well, thank you so much for that. And for your assistance.
I want to make sure we have one last hand up. Jazzy, go ahead and close this off here.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I know where to find all of the different events that everyone's talking about.
There you go.
If there's like a link that has like a calendar or something that's Air District is affiliated with all of these.
Yeah, so I guess that's what the purpose of me developing that, maybe a spreadsheet. So I'll send it out to the group and then you guys can start populating it. So most likely it's going to be via Google Docs, if that works for the group.
So it's in development.
Yeah, in development. And then typically we try and leave time at the end of our CSC meetings to share like community events and such. And then like for Tune In, Tune Up, those kinds of events that are happening in the boundary, we definitely try and get that information out via email to the group. So feel free to send stuff our way.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions or comments, that way folks can get on probably to their next meeting this Friday afternoon. but definitely want to thank everyone for taking the time out to attend this meeting and with the valuable input and questions that we've had today, and that we continue this dialogue. And again, thanks to the Air District staff for their commitment to making sure that we're on track with the deliverables for the AB 617.
I have one more thing, SB, I apologize. And I think this might be Juan or Stephanie, with the EV charging, which is the large EV charging that's happening, that I think Juan indicated that it's already being discussed with the city and the county or something like that. But the private industry that's out there, are they getting notified about this as well? And is there a way to make that happen?
Yeah, that's a good point. And so we have been in contact with the city and county. Some of the, I don't know the exact fine like print of the requirements for this, but one of them I do know is that it has to be publicly accessible for 24 hours. So if a business is like able to kind of make that happen, they're definitely able to apply for it. But there are certain requirements of making it available to kind of everyone. But that's a good point. I'll follow up kind of with our team to see what more outreach we can be doing. And it is definitely ongoing, kind of with reaching out to all of our different partners. Thanks, Margot.
Yeah, thank you, Margot. Okay, so with that, then we'll go ahead and close out, and we'll have follow-up from Juan and our next meeting on the 15th.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
weekend.
Everyone, bye.
Bye.
Bye.